We've talked about the importance of cell lineage and tracking that in CellPort. We've talked primarily about it in the context of biotechnology companies, but it's also relevant in the context of academic research and teaching. From the perspective of academic teaching, from our experience talking to the space there, they're using this more to teach the next generation of either scientists going on to graduate school or technicians going on to laboratory work in industry. From the research perspective, where the research going on is more akin almost to work in a biotechnology company, clearly they're very interested in that from the perspective of their own research going on. From your perspective, how does that translate from academic research teaching and into biotechnology laboratories and industry?
For the teaching colleges environment, I think it's extremely important as a tool of the future. We need to train the next generation on how to use applications like CellPort, so when they graduate and take a job, it is coming. There's no stopping this. This is what's happening. From the research institutions, the academic research institutions, we have seen so many companies spun out. Historically, we have been in the cell and gene therapy and the vaccine world, and we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years this unbelievable growth and production of new companies. The issue is the technology coming out of these research hospitals is oftentimes not conducted in a way that is conducive to necessarily a quick transfer out to industry, which is oftentimes more rigorous, more controlled, less exploratory. What we see, though, is because of the success that has occurred and the rapidly evolving space of cell and gene therapy, the need for these environments to get better and to be more robust in what they produce, so what they do spin out is more reproducible, can be transferred, is an absolutely critical, I think, for these universities to invest in these tools. It ensures that the research can be reproduced. It ensures that the process of transferring can occur. Again, we're dealing with even more legacy systems in these schools, but because the investment, because of the funding, because of the excitement of the space, we think that they can become much better by incorporating tools like CellPort and adding greater value and assurance to not only just the data they're producing, but to potential investors who are going to take that technology and run with it.
On the topic of investment and reproducibility, we've talked about Leonard Freeman's publication that showed that 50% of the annual preclinical research spend has been wasted because it's irreproducible. The bulk of that irreproducibility actually comes from academia. And the bulk of that irreproducibility is also focused on biological reagents and other reagents like cells. So that clearly underscores your point about the necessity for that investment to be made much more reproducible. And what better way to do that than with CellPort, which has been created specifically for that purpose, to make things more well documented so that it can be reproduced.
What I have seen over the last 4 or 5 years is an awareness in these institutions that they do need to change, to transition. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They want to button things up. They want them tighter. They want aspects of research witnessed. They want to be better at what they're doing. And part of that is, I think, because of all the success that we have seen and also the investment that's coming in. There is a payoff if we can assure a technology is more robust than maybe it was in the history. It becomes, you de-risk it for those investors.
And de-risking is something that the underlying capabilities of CellPort, having everything tracked and traced in protocols, the inventory, the equipment, all equipment calibrations, all material expirations, having all of that in the system is a much more straightforward and clear way of ensuring that reproducibility in the future.
Mm-hmm. I think also when we look at the ability to transfer that information, the way CellPort is structured, it is something that can be made readily available. and technically transferred. It's a SaaS product that requires internet access, and tech transfer now will have a different meaning to it. It isn't shipping documents, people having to be able to remember what they did. If we capture it all, it's a matter of letting new people just into the system.
And transfer, the tech transfer is one of the big 4 T's of CellPort: traceability, transparency, training, and tech transfer. And that certainly becomes much more feasible and frictionless when you have that information stored in a very clear and consistent way.
I think onboarding, to underscore the onboarding challenges of how does an operation work, CellPort actually consolidates a lot of activities so that, and information, so that those who are onboarded are following prompts. And that is an easy way for management to actually quickly see in real time how their people are doing, how things are performing, what results look like. I think it is a tool that, let alone all the data it captures and how it captures it, but the ability for people to become better and to onboard faster and be more impactful in a shorter period of time.
After that onboarding process and after the system is in place, one of the things that we really haven't touched on is the reporting tools, the ability to filter that information, to search for precisely what you're looking at, to see the trends, to visualize the trends, and not only visualize them, but then to make them actionable, to do something with the results of those reports that you've gleaned.